Hello, welcome to another Maryland STEM Festival event. Today we're going to be talking with several local game developers about what they do and how they got into industry. Game development, video games have become one of, if not the largest entertainment industry in the world in the range of multi-billions of dollars. And it's also become a very lucrative and successful and popular career path and involves a certain amount of STEM with coding as well as other aspects, and also a certain amount of art. So we are going to talk to our game developers about this industry and this career. So I'm going to start with Ash. Well, actually, we'll start with the first question. I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourself. Oh, and here's Mike. To introduce yourself by telling your name, your company, your title, what area of game development you work in. And I'll start with Ashley, okay?
Hi, I'm Ashley Gucci. I'm with Boba Studios. I'm the CEO and co-founder. And what I do with games is I do the game design, the writing, and the programming for all of our games.
Great. Kristen, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kirsten Cooksey. I'm the Chief Creative Officer of Boba Studios, and I work primarily in the art and animation department. So that's my focus in games.
Great. Don, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Don Boos. I am an independent game developer of Shademere LLC, and I primarily do mostly everything: basic programming, sound design, level design, so on and so forth. But I do basic and help time to time and stuff.
Great. Tony, you want to go next?
Hey, I'm Tony Powell, owner and developer at Philosophy. Basically do pretty much everything except for making music in video games.
Great. And Mike, would you like to introduce yourself, please, and tell us your company and what you do there?
Yeah, real quick, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, cool. So I work at Blizzard on the Hearthstone team. I'm an engineer, and the team I work on specifically deals with performance issues and making the game run faster and use less memory.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. All right, the next question I like to ask everybody is, are you a game player? When did you start playing games? Ashley?
Yeah, I'm definitely a game player. I actually don't remember when I started playing games. I can say with almost certainty that my first game was either Super Smash on the Nintendo 64 or Pokemon Stadium. But I don't really have a memory of the first time I played video games.
And do you still play a lot now?
Yeah, definitely. Right now I'm playing a lot of Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of games on my Switch.
Okay, great. Don, how about you? Are you a game player from way back? Do you remember when you got started in game playing, and what do you do now? Do you still play games?
Oh, definitely. Like, basically, I had an across the street neighbor who basically I always go over to play games with him and stuff when I was around like 6 or 5. I mostly just watch him play and stuff. But eventually, when he moved out, he dumped all his Super NES and his NES onto the street and stuff, and I try to salvage it. Eventually, my dad says, "We'll just get you a GameCube," and then there we go, and that's where I set it off.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first game I owned was Luigi's Mansion, and so on. So Luigi's Mansion, yeah, that's the first one. And I still play games nowadays. Like recently, I've been delved deep into Hades, the game from Supergiant. And stuff. Really been into that. But I finally got to the end credits, but it's not even over yet.
Okay. Well, you've got time, and unfortunately, we seem to have more time since we're stuck inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kristen, how about you? Have you been a long-time game player?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think the earliest memory that I have of playing video games is going over my best friend's house in kindergarten and playing like Spyro the Dragon on her PlayStation. So yeah, definitely been something that I've done it for my lifetime.
And do you still play games?
I do. Yeah, my favorite system now is also the Switch. I've also been playing a lot of Animal Crossing and different games like that. But I'm excited for to see what's coming up with the new Xbox and PlayStation.
Okay, great. Tony, how about you? When did you start playing games, first games, and what games do you play now?
Yeah, I remember like I was a kid, like maybe like 4 or 5 years old or something like that. My dad was putting together a PC, and he installed Space Invaders on there, and I remember playing that, watching my brother play that game, and then getting my turn. But like, I really got into games deeply when the original NES came out, and I was playing like Mario Brothers and Go-Go 13 and Spy Hunter and stuff like that. But nowadays, I actually work more than I actually get time to play games. But when I am playing games, it's usually fast-paced competitive multiplayer games like Call of Duty and stuff.
Okay. Tony, are you the iPad? Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is
because I want to make you a co-host if you want to share your screen. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
right.
I still gotta figure out how to share the screen with the Zoom though.
Okay. All right, we can work you through that.
Cool,
Mike,
cool.
how about you? Are you a longtime game player, and what do you play now, if so?
Yeah, so I have been playing games for a very long time, since I was little, maybe like, I want to say like 10 years old, maybe when I started. My mom worked at my aunt's corner store, and they had a Mortal Kombat cabinet. And so my mom would take me to work with her, and so I started playing with the Mortal Kombat cabinet. And ever since then, I was like, man, I really want to make games. And I don't play them. Well, I don't play them as much as I used to, and that's mostly just because I used to play a lot of multiplayer games, and all my friends, we all grew up, we have jobs and kids now, so we don't have time. But I still try to play. I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter lately, Monster Hunter World. I was playing Animal Crossing. I was playing Pokemon. So yeah, I love games. I just try to find time when I can to play.
Well, as your kids get bigger and they get into them, then you can play with them, right?
That's true. I play Animal Crossing and Kirby games with my son. He really loves Kirby.
Okay, so you touched on a little bit. When did you start thinking of getting into the game development industry, and what is the path you took to get to where you are? What schooling, what training, what experience? Mike, that's for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so at first I actually wanted to be a cartoonist. I actually wanted to draw cartoons. I started as an artist. I even applied to the Baltimore School for the Arts. But I realized that I liked games more than I liked cartoons. And so I just wanted to figure out how I could get into games. And so when I went to college, well, when I was in high school, I was talking to my guidance counselor, and he suggested, oh, you should go to college for game development. And I did. However, the college that I went to the University of Baltimore, and it's a great school. However, that program at the time was really new. And I honestly didn't feel like I was actually learning anything that would help, get me hired. Or I wasn't actually being taught how to make games. So, well, at least not as fast as I wanted to be taught. So I figured out how to do it on my own. I was messing around with Game Maker for a few years, and then I was introduced to Flash. There was an adjunct professor that I met at UB who actually taught me more than anything I learned in any of the other classes. And so for me, eventually I realized that I could learn a lot more on my own, a lot faster. And that's where I got the majority of my experience from. And so eventually I got a software engineering job while I was in college. And from then on, I just got real experience. And now I'm at Blizzard.
Great. Tony, do you want to talk a little bit about when you first got the idea of going into game development as a career and the path you took to get to where you are?
Yeah, sure. This happened back when I was a senior in high school. I was taking these two computer science classes. One was called Pascal, and it was like programming and visual basics, and the other one was a 2D animation course for web design. And I had the same teacher, and it was back-to-back class. And I remember in the animation class, the teacher, in the first week, they pulled up like the syllabus and showed us what we were going to do. And like, I remember he showed us at the top of the banner of this website was one of those little tiny games where if you click inside the box, it'll take you to like a Chuck E. Cheese website or something like that, right? But if you move the mouse inside of the box, then it'll show like a little hammer and you got to whack them all or something. And it looked like a small little video game. And I asked the teacher, I was like, hey, are we going to make something like that? And he was like, well, no, because it's a little too complicated for this class. But this is the software you would use to make it. But once he said that, and I knew I can make a video game with this software I had in front of me, I was like, okay, I'm doing that. And so like for the next like several weeks, all I did when I went into both of those classes, I would like use Yahoo to try to figure out tutorials on how to use that software to make a game. And then like several weeks went by and the teacher had pulled me into into his office. He's like, Tony, I see you're the first person here in the morning, you're the last person to leave. I see that you're working all the time and stuff, but you haven't done any homework, you haven't turned any classwork, you haven't done any of your weekly tests. I see that you're working, but what are you working on, right? And I was like, oh, making a video. And he was like, what? And I told him I was making a video game, and he's like, show me stuff, right? I take it to my computer.
Oh.
Everybody's at their desk doing things and stuff. I take him to my computer and I show him the game that I'm making, and then he's like, okay, let me play. And so he sat there, he played a little game, what I had so far. Right? And then he's like, after he died, he's like, show me your source code. Start showing the source code. And everything that I had was not only everything that we were supposed to learn that whole year, but way back with that. And he was so impressed that he took me back into his office. He's like, I can't believe you're making a game. That's awesome, dude. That's crazy. How'd you get this? How'd you get that? And I told him all about that. And he's like, okay, I'll tell you what, Tony. So I tell you what, if you can finish this game by the end of the year, I'll give you an A in the class. You don't have to do any homework. You don't have to do any classwork. You don't have to do any weekly tests. You still have to do your midterm and your final. But if you can finish this game for the end of the year, I'll pass you and stuff. And that was my senior year. If I didn't pass this class, I would have to take. I wouldn't graduate on time. I had to take summer school, so the pressure was on, right? So I worked like crazy to try to finish this game, and I did finish it with like the last half hour of the school year. He sat down, he played it, right? And nobody else knew about what the little deal we had going on and stuff, right? And so he sat down, played it, and I'm like biting my nails, like, oh my God, please don't try to escape the game on the third level because it's gonna crash everything. And I don't know, I had no idea. I still to this day don't know what caused that bug. But he played it, he loved it, he gave me a thumbs up, and I got to graduate on time. So but then like fast forward to graduation, I'm walking out with my cap and gown and stuff. And he burst out of the crowd and he's like, Tony, listen, stick with video games and stuff. Like, that's your thing and stuff. Like if you're going to do it, just do video games and stuff, right? So I'm like, yeah, great, because that's exactly what I'm getting ready to go do when I get home. And then and then I never seen him again. And then a year later, I'm at a party at my friend's house, and his sister comes up and says, hey, Tony, I played your game. And I'm thinking, that's impossible. You couldn't play my game. My game's on my computer and stuff. No one's played it. It was a newer game. And she said, no, I played your game with Mr. Dismuke's class. He uses it as a tutorial to teach us how to make video games. So I was like, oh, dude, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And that was like the stuff from here on stuff. Yeah. So I did go to college for it, but my education started way before that and stuff. So yeah. Okay.
We're losing a little bit, Tony. I don't know if there's anything to do to improve your signal or anything, but Don, why don't you talk about when you first became interested or thinking about becoming a game developer and what path you followed to get where you are?
It's actually kind of similar to Tony's actually, but in a little bit of a different way. Like during, I guess, freshman in high school, my mom basically signed me and I brought up to a video game class where we basically learned Clicker Fusion. Mm-hmm. It was basically, we basically go there just to, go for a lark and stuff. But basically I really adapted to the system really well and stuff. And basically the guys told us like people can actually make real games out of using the system, like No to Left 2 and Freedom Planet were some of the bigger ones made with that system. And then my brother got the system instead, but then I took it away from him. And then I basically started working games as a hobby. I started freshman and basically mostly kept to it and stuff, made a few games and basically shared it with my friend in high school and stuff. And eventually I accidentally signed up to computer graphics class, which is how to teach Adobe Illustrator and stuff. And I really, really hooked onto that one. And then I showed my teacher that I also been working on games. And then he basically stopped everything and says, hey, you can focus on this. And then I basically made a game for my final. And then he bumped me up to AP2D and so on and so forth. And the next game I made for Scholastic Art of Writing Award and won free gold medals. And basically, my path was basically like it was one thing I'm good at, and my path was kind of set at that point. So with that, I was able to get into Mica and basically further my craft. Met Ashley and Kirsten, got good luck with them and stuff. And basically, still making games to this day right now, and basically making it better than ever. But yeah.
Great. Kristen, do you want to talk about when you started thinking about getting into game development, the path you took?
Sure. So I didn't really start thinking about video games as a career until I got into college. Most of my my education prior to that was in traditional art. My high school didn't have a very good digital art program. So once I got to college, I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art. So it was actually an art college. So once I got there, I was like, okay, I want to learn digital art and I want to learn, maybe get into animation, maybe get into game design. So in my freshman year, I took both game design and animation, and I was like, that's it. I think that's what I want to do.
Great. Ashley, do you want to talk about when you first started thinking about being a game developer and the path you took to get there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I spent a lot of time when I was little, like playing games with friends, and that led to like spending a lot of times with my friends, like drafting up games. And it was like the kind of games that we were playing, like RPGs, like really long things that I like didn't really even know how to begin to make. But we used to just make like plan after plan of like, this is how it's going to work. This is what the story's going to be. All the characters are looking like this and all of that. And I think I was actually about 7 the first time that I told somebody like, I'm going to have a game studio. That's what I'm going to do. And so my parents were very much like, okay, well, go to art school then. So when I was in high school, we had a lot of visiting colleges in my art class. There had a lot of art schools come, and Mica, as both Kirsten and Don mentioned, Maryland Institute College of Art, they came and talked to us. And of all the schools, I was like, that's the one I want to go to. And part of the reason that I actually really liked them too is because they had a really good academic program too, outside of the arts, because I knew that the games that I wanted to make were like story based. So I wanted to spend a lot of time also working on writing when I was in school. So like Kirsten, I went to a high school that had a great art program, but it was a great traditional arts program, but they didn't really have digital other than digital photography. So I took every art class that I could, but none of them tapped into anything like on making video games. So I didn't actually start that until I got to Mica, where I majored in interactive arts and then focused in game arts. So that's where I really started learning those tools. And I was also, during my time there, I was work study in the career development office. So that's what really like, I was using that because I knew by the time I left, I wanted to be starting working on my own studio. So when we had our thesis project at the end of the year, I knew that the game that I was going to make was not only good for this project, but I wanted to be able to use it to launch my career and use that to launch a studio. So that's really it. That's how we got started.
Audrey asked a question I was going to ask a little later, but I'll go ahead and ask it now. What tools do each of you use as far as software tools and any processes? So Ashley, would you like to talk about that first?
Sure. So our team builds our games in the Unity engine. And then we use a lot of Adobe products, Adobe Creative Suite, for art that goes into the game, like Photoshop, Illustrator. Kirsten will talk more about this, but Premiere and After Effects.
Okay.
And TJ's not here, but on the sound side, we use Sibelius and I'm forgetting the other one. I don't know.
Logic.
Well,
I think it's Logic, right?
Logic.
Okay.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Well, Kristen, why don't you follow up and build upon what Ashley said? What tools are you using at Boba that she didn't mention?
Sure. Yeah. So like she said that we use a lot of the Adobe products. Our video game that we're working on is a 2.5D game. So it actually uses 2D and 3D elements. So for any 3D models, I use Maya, and then any of the 2D or like flat assets, I sort of jump around between Illustrator, Photoshop, and Premiere and After Effects to animate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great. Don, what tools and processes do you use?
Well, I do. I also use the Adobe Street as well, and I used Clicking Fusion for a little while to basically release a full game, Miracle Mia hashtag get it.
Mhm.
But and then eventually I did basically worked on Unity and for a little bit. But like early this year, I basically signed up for a computer class to basically teach kids how to basically make games. And one of the software they're using was Construct 2. So I eventually got the system.
Mhm.
And I saw it really was very similar to Clicking Fusion, and I was able to basically port it to even more stuff compared to Clickating. Like Clickating I love it, but it's a little bit finicky and stuff. But like this one was a lot more better, and I was able to basically make a bunch of browser-based games. Adobe Illustrator stuff, if I can hold on, I'll show you.
Sure.
For the Adobe Illustrator stuff, this is sort of like how I do it, like make the art, basically make the animations, and then import the animations into Fireworks, and then basically put them into the game and stuff. So yeah, I do most of everything, but like the strong parts I'm in are like sort of like programming the game, like basically in the engine, and also doing the art and basically sort of like making the characters come to life and stuff. That's one of the things I really like about it.
Okay, great. Tony, do you want to talk a little bit about what tools you use?
Yeah, I usually take the more open source route for content creation, and I use the game engine Unity for the game engine. The open source software I use is Blender for 3D assets, animations, and things like that. And I usually port that over into Unity. And for the 2D software, the 2D graphics that I create is usually made in GIMP. And I port that into Blender, and then port that into assign that to an object in Blender, and then port that object into Unity.
Okay, great. And Mike, what tools do you use for your process? I understand. I just want to go ahead and explain what you use.
Oh, most of my game development experience is in Unity and in Flash, but not so much Flash anymore. So yeah, just like everyone else mentioned, Unity is really great when you are trying to make games by yourself or on a small team. You can get a lot done faster than trying to use, write your own engine from scratch, or even trying to use something like Unreal. Unreal is great. However, unless you have experience with it, at like a big company, or it's easier to get into Unity as one person trying to do it by yourself. But I will say, if you want to work for like AAA game companies, a lot of them do really value Unreal experience. So a lot of people ask me, oh, well, what do you use? And my advice is really like, first figure out, what is your goal? Do you want to make a game yourself? Is it just you? Do you have a small team? Because you might want to just use Unity or even Construct or even Game Maker. But if you want to learn how to acquire the skills to work on Call of Duty or some really large team, it might be beneficial to use Unreal and learn C++. But it ultimately depends on what's your goal. So that's what, but yeah, most of the time the answer is going to be Unity.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, now the time, hopefully the time that we've all been waiting for, we'd like for each of you to show a little bit of your work so we can see what you've done. Mike, do you want to start?
Well, so would you want to see some of my like personal projects?
It could be either personal projects, or why don't we show some things from your work, from your company?
Oh, okay. Well,
or either one, you pick.
Yeah, so I actually just started at Blizzard like a few weeks ago, so I don't have anything that.
All right, then show some of your prior work then. That's fine.
Okay.
And you can share your screen. I've made you a co-host.
Yeah. Give me just a second.
All right, why don't we get Tony, would you like to go and then we'll come back to Mike?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, do I just push the screen content or the
Yeah,
share
well,
content?
if you go down to the share screen button and push that, you should see all of the apps that are open on your desktop or whatever device you're using on your iPad, and then you should be able to click on the ones.
Alrighty. Let's see.
Down to the share screen button.
Where's the share screen button?
It's on the bottom row. It's a different color actually. Although talking to someone who's colorblind, I'm not the best guide.
Oh, I didn't know that. Let's see here.
You see it? Share screen.
Actually, I don't see it because I'm on the iPad, so I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay. All right. Well, then why don't we?
Yeah,
I
let
have
me
my
figure this out real quick.
I have
Okay.
my site pulled up. I can
Okay,
show
Mike,
you
why
my
don't you go?
passwords. Okay. Oh, Zoom wants permissions.
Pardon?
Actually, I have to give Zoom permissions, so it wants me to restart Zoom. Someone else should go, and then I'll come back
Okay.
to the call.
All right. Don, you want to go?
Sure, yeah. I can. Do you want me to show you how I do the games or the games I make? Actually,
how about look? Can you do a little both?
Yeah, I'll do a little both. I guess I could show you what I'm working on right now. Like,
Okay.
let's see, screen share. So yeah, like I said, I've been using Construct 2 to do my stuff, and basically it was basically a nice way to basically get some stuff done. So like, this is Construct 2. It's basically this is the game map, and this is basically all the programming and all the stuff in here. It's like event editor stuff. So like, basically, if object A like, come on, if like object A like boss basically collides with object B, like this. And then basically you put in the action that goes in there. Like basically it makes time stop, or it basically, I don't know, hold on, let's see. It basically creates an object in this location. So on and so forth stuff. And basically right now I'm basically working on enemies. Like I'm currently working on a Metroidvania game I did for a Game Jam game. And I wanted to basically make it into like a bigger thing and stuff. So I think I'll just show you the game in action. Let's basically screen share that. Stop screen sharing. And then we screen share this one. There we go. Come on, please. Thank you. I don't think you can hear the music, but so far it's basically I'm making a Metroidvania where you go around, attack monsters, and so on and so forth. It's sort of it's been inspired by Bayonetta and Dark Souls. Bayonetta in the sense that when enemies attack you, you can basically, ouch, die, ouch. Okay, stop, please stop. Okay, please stop doing that. And okay, you can die horribly, horrifically, and you lose all your money because Dark Souls. I'm going to go this way. Never mind.
So it looks great.
I can see the Dark Souls inspiration.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, like I have all the powers unlocked right now and stuff, but like in the game you basically get these abilities like ability to breathe fire, to open gates, ability to use a giant scissors, guns, a hook shot, bird, and then so on and so forth. Anyway. Whoops. Hold on, let me get the graphics in.
Okay, I'm thinking how to do this.
Looks really awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm going to skip the guy and just jump to a boss.
How much further do you have to go with this game, development-wise?
Hold on. Can you say that again? How far? Let's see.
How much more? Yeah.
Yeah, like I basically got all the powers and stuff. So like right now I'm basically, hold on, I'll basically show you what I'm doing. I'm basically trying to work on right now. I'm basically finishing up the enemy roster. Like currently, like there's going to be 4 to 5 worlds and stuff, and basically, like I have all the bosses set out in some ways. Let's see. Come on, Illustrator. Here we go. So yeah, like right now I'm basically working on the rest of the enemy types.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of mulling over like how much I should do, how much enemies I should put into the game and stuff. But I think I'm going to basically keep the scope small because like this basic what I usually work on my projects usually becomes jumping off point for future projects. So like making this Metroidvania and making this in Quick Construct 2 and also being an online game is basically a really, really big step. So like it can really go to like bigger projects and stuff. So like right now it's basically like finishing up the enemy designs. Like I have to put down this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, animate them up. And after that I can probably just focus on like work on like some of the rest of the bosses. Like where are you? Like this piece of work. So yeah. But yeah, mostly right. But after that is basically then for fleshing out the levels.
Oh man, doing that tilt.
Yeah, this. Oh yeah, this is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I did it before. Like I have
do that, dude?
I have a basis though. Like I basically worked on another game. Like I released a game on Steam called Miracle Mia, and I have like I basically have a base of like some enemy designs, and I do work on like some enemies that are similar to each other. So I'm not going completely blind. But it's usually, I guess, the advice I can give is sort of like keep at it, like never stop building stuff, and basically just expand on what you did on the previous one. So like this was sort of this is the snake boss is not going to be a little bit like this. Everyone just sort of like crawls around. But like I'm going to try to do but I have like but like this guy eventually will go into eventually went to the template of like how this one will work and so on and so forth. And then so on and so forth. Like always keep iterating, keep on expanding and stuff, and just keep at it and stuff. And basically whatever, take what you learned from the last game, failures or whatever arise, and then basically apply it to the next one. That's sort of like actually what happened early this year. Like I just started Construct 2 and basically like I didn't know what to do. So I started a game. So I eventually entered a game jam game. Let me show you the thing. Me. Play from current slide. Not this. Yep. So yeah, like earlier this year, I basically entered a game jam game, the Magical Girl game jam game, and basically really start to work on Construct 2, sort of like taking what I learned from Miracle Mia and applying it to the software it is. So I eventually worked on Birth by Magic, and then this summer I worked on Necro Drake. I tried to be a little more ambitious with this one, but it sort of fell flat because I focused too much on the dragon animation. And then eventually, when come August, I basically work on this one and taking what I learned from these two, and then really basically applying it to this big one. So yeah, like I can go on forever showing off games, but if you want to move on,
yeah, I think we'll move on. But that's very amazing, very cool, Don.
So thanks.
Okay, Mike, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. So figured I can just go to my website where I have my portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
So before I was working at Blizzard, I was working at Big Huge Games.
Mm-hmm.
And the last game I worked on was Dominations, which is a mobile game. I got some screenshots here. Here's a video, just in case nobody knows what this game is. So it's a history game. Well, it's a history themed game, but there's like combat, resource generation. Hold on, let me turn that sound down. So you build up troops, you send them to other people's base, and you basically fight their defenders. The winner, you get like resources, gold, oil, stuff to make your base better. That's the gist of the game. A lot of what I did involved setting up a lot of the UI and adding features in the game. So, for example, there's a button over on the left that launches a missile, launches 4 missiles in this case. That's one of the features that I added to the game. There's a few other things on this page, like the daily rewards window. One of the revenue features for the game, because it's free to play, so you download it for free. One of the ways the company makes money is through video ads. So if you watch a certain number of videos, you get rewards. I'm sure most of you have seen things like this. You can buy more troops and stuff from the game. These are some other things that I've put into the game. I've done work on the museum window where you get certain artifacts that the troops give you like more resource generation, stuff like that. Before I worked at Big Huge Games, I also worked at Sparky Pants on a game called Drop Zone. So Drop Zone is kind of like a RTS MOBA fusion. So a lot of what I did in this game was also UI programming. Hopefully this video plays. Can you all still hear me?
Yes, we still hear you.
Hello? Oh man, did I cut out?
Oh, we can still hear you, Mike.
You guys.
Yeah, we can't hear you now, Mike. Are you just not talking, or did we lose you? All right, Tony, which game were you going to show of yours? Hi, Mike, we can hear you.
Yeah, what happened? Did it just disconnect?
I think
Well,
so,
yeah, I guess we lost your screen, yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, it's that my internet connection was unstable. I think it was because I was playing the videos, maybe.
Yeah, got it working.
But yeah, I can share again if you guys want.
Well, why don't you share us the link and then we'll share it later because we want to move on. So, but that's very cool. Okay. Tony, which game were you going to show of yours?
Yeah, so I was actually trying to mess with the screen sharing thing and stuff like that, but I just came with an idea. If you would be able to do the screen share, Phil, and I can just give you the website to go to.
Sure.
So I want to show off. I have a quick trailer for the Mighty Masher game, and then we can show them the Agronomics game.
Okay, so what's the link for the Mighty Mashers?
So it's www.mightymasher.com.
Mighty Masher?
With the S at the end, Mashers.
And
then you should see a YouTube video just below the title.
Okay, well, let me try to share my screen so then we can navigate. Oh, let me do screen share.
There we go. I scroll up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going to the top till you see the YouTube video.
There it is.
Keep scrolling up.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. That's right there. And just if you can max screen that and press play. This is just a trailer of the first game my company is developing and launching. It's called Mighty Masher. Right now, I'm working on like the mobile version of it. So what you're going to see now is kind of an older version.
So is this
just
the
scroll
one?
down to
Yeah, click that.
Yeah. Click the YouTube video right below the about.
There you go.
There we go. Awesome. I don't know how it's gonna look on this app though.
Yeah, and let me see about.
But this is the older trailer that
There we go.
It's really hard. It's like
I'm sorry, what, Tony?
it's looking pretty choppy on my screen.
It seemed to look fine on my screen.
It guess depends. Like it looked good on my screen too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
cool.
rock paper scissors, but
Yeah,
extreme.
you guys. Yeah, that's like an older trailer that I made. Like right now, I'm like getting it running on mobile devices. It looks very different already and stuff. But yeah. And the other game is a game that we worked on together, Phil, is Agronomics.
Hold on, let me go
Now,
there.
we don't have like we don't have a short trailer for Agronomics like we do for Mighty Mashers, but we might be able to show them like some screenshots and stuff of it. Or which browser are you using right now?
I'm using Chrome.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this is a game called Agronomics that Phil and I worked on for like 2+ years or something like that. And this game basically teaches kids how STEM plays an important role in modern day agriculture. And we take kids through a number of different exercises that exercises their memorization, hand-eye coordination, resource management, and pattern recognition skills. And basically, you're just going from start to finish, growing up your farm, and protecting it while it's growing. This is actually an older build. We have a newer build on iOS and Android right now, and this is just the opening level. Just before you start building your farm up, you're going to go through, I think, like 4 or 5 different stages, ranging from tilling the soil, which is like a memorization game, and you're basically removing all the rocks from the soil, so your roots can fully grow. And then you have to set up a water irrigation system, and then you have to plant the seeds for your crops, and then you have to protect your crops while they're growing. And you'll have like different threats to your crops, like rabbit infestation trying to go in and eat your crops, or you'll have to deal with different weather phenomena like floods and droughts. And then once you're ready to harvest your crops, you're using like technology like GPS tractors to navigate through your crops and pick up all the crops by the time you reach the end. And then you also have to decide how much crops you want to sell and how much you want to save. And whatever you sell, that money is used to repair your farm from the damages you took while you were growing. And then whatever you save is the crops that you eat until your next harvest. So we really wanted to get kids excited about getting into agriculture, particularly in Maryland, because Maryland has a huge agricultural industry, and it's also facing some difficulties with finding new people to join that industry. And we just wanted to get kids inspired into looking into agriculture and taking up an agricultural job in Maryland. But yeah, so that's Agronomics and stuff. It's a bit of a longer game to play and stuff like that. So it's not something that we can demonstrate right now. But yeah, that's what we've been working on. I definitely check it out if anybody wanted to see. It's on the App Store. It's Agronomics, the Google Play Store, and it's also on the website you saw at MarylandSTEMFestival.org/STEM games.
All right, thank you, Tony.
Tony, can you share that link in
Ashley,
the chat?
and yes, it's a great game, and please give it a shot. Ashley and Kristen, you want to show your game, your work?
Sure. Yeah, let me start. I might show off a little bit of some of the other games that we've made first, and then I'll show a video from the game that we're currently working on. But yeah, let's give some of our other games some love since it's normally Squirrely Roo that gets showed.
That's the only one I ever known you guys working on.
Yeah, so we've made a bunch of different types of games. This is a game called Remains. It was a digital game that deals with actually, ironically, it kind of deals with death compared to our other game that you guys might have seen, Squirrely Rabbit. So much different from this, but I wanted to show this off for a minute. And then we have a few different hybrid games. So they're both digital, but you play them as a party game on like large tablets. So Dish It Out is one of those, and Spellbound is another one of those. We decided to try to make a battle royale hybrid game. This, I think, was a little closer stylistically to where we ended up launching into Squirrely Roo. Volt we did for the Global Game Jam one year, and that, if you're not familiar with Global Game Jam, it's like a 48-hour jam where you make a game based on a theme. I have another one of those in here too. Power Patrol is like a hide and seek type game inspired by like this idea of chiaroscuro, which is like really bright and really dark old style paintings. This is another hybrid game that we have. It was when we tried to do a resource game as like a hybrid party game. And then this is another Global Game Jam game that we did. And I think that will bring us into Squirrely Roo. As you can see, Squirrely Roo is the current project we're working on. It's a lot more developed than the other ones, and has a very sort of bright aesthetic as compared to Remains, which is the first one I showed. But I think Remains is what we're going to get back to after we complete Squirrely Roo for our next game. But I'm sure our team really likes like the bright sort of aesthetic. So this is the opening scene to Squirrely Roo, which will be followed by some updated gameplay. Can you guys hear my sound?
No, we can't.
Can't hear the sound.
Oh well. But
How do you do sound on Zoom?
And I
have this
just-
trailer. Can you give this trailer to Phil?
I don't think I have it host online. This is new as of like 2 or 3 days ago.
You can imagine the sound.
Yeah, we might have to do that.
The graphics are gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna play it then. Sorry.
Okay. If TJ were here, you can make the sounds or something. Dead.
So this is actual gameplay.
Okay, cool. I like the seamless transition.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That camera, that's awesome, guys.
Thank you. That took a little bit to get.
Oh yeah,
I'm really glad that
definitely.
we got it. So you can see this game is played by color mixing. So you have your friend Cammy the chameleon in your pouch who manages the colors for you.
That's even better, guys. Good.
So the X, the Y, and the B buttons affect the different colors that you can control.
There's two cameos.
Yeah, this is. Sorry, we got actually stuck on this video. This is the video apparently that we didn't edit. So
Still.
yeah, you find Cammy in this scene. This is still a work in progress. Throughout the game, there's also collectible acorns where you can help Squirrely Roo find her acorns and then track them down. So the game, as Kirsten mentioned earlier, is a 2.5D puzzle platformer based on color theory. So as you can see, Squirrely Roo is a 2D object. She's flat, and then everything in the world is 3D. And you can start to see where like the puzzles come in here, where you have to escape her house. You can't because the roof is there, so you have to knock down the pile of stuff, and then you can use that to escape. So this is the the tutorial level. And this goes into the first cutscene of the game, but I don't want to take up too much of your time showing things.
Yeah, well, it's a very cool looking game, and I have a lot of questions I wish we could ask. We're running up against time. So I'm going to ask each you one final question. For a student who has just thought about getting into video games, what is the first thing you would tell them they should think about doing? What would be the first step? Ashley, you want to start?
I think that the biggest thing that I can say to anyone who wants to get into games is to take every opportunity that you can. I know a lot of times going into game development, whether that's striking out on your own, whether that's finding somebody to work with, going to your first show, telling people about your game can be really scary. But it's the things, it's getting engaged with your own like adventure, and you're finding what you can do to attain your dream that is going to find you opportunities. You never know when you show up for something. I mean, take us, for example. We're here today having this panel with you guys because we had an interview with you, Phil, a few months ago, and that happened because Tony connected us. Right. We met Tony at AwesomeCon. So anything that you can do to, like, you know, get involved with your own future, which sounds really vague, will bring you more opportunities to do more. And I know it's really scary and it's really hard to put yourself out there, but your work is worth other people seeing it. Your story is worth other people hearing it.
Great, thank you. Don, what would you tell someone who is a student who is just thinking of getting into video games? What would you suggest they do first, or the first couple things?
Well, it's going to be difficult in the first areas, but basically finding the links, basically like finding them basically passion first, like basically gotta like what you're doing. Second is sort of like understanding what the aspects of it is. Like you see something from that game and basically you want to think of how you can rate it. And most importantly, just actually getting in and actually working on the thing. Like basically how I basically started making games was basically sort of like trying to basically get the camera to scroll, and it took me like 5 months, but eventually I got it to work. And eventually seeing every aspect of the games that I like, and basically replicating that and eventually expanding on that and then keep going at it. So like always keep on working. Like it takes a long time. It takes a long time to basically make a game like Miracle Mia and Squirreloo and so on and so forth. But you just got to keep at it and make small projects that eventually builds the bigger ones.
Okay, thank you. Tony, what would you tell someone, a young student who's just thinking about being a game developer, getting into game development?
I would say a few things. Try everything out when it comes to making video games. There's a bunch of different aspects that come together with making video games, whether it's like art or programming, design. Try them all out, see which one resonates with you the most, and then explore that as much as you can. That, and then the next thing I would say is there's no real starting point when it comes to making a game and stuff like that. You can start with just the programming, or you can start building the art assets, or you can start even with the design. Sometimes the design isn't even the first thing that comes to mind when you're making a video game. So just dive in. You know, there's no real starting point. Just dive in anywhere, wherever you feel like it and stuff, and just see where it goes from there. This is just if you're just getting started into making video games. And then the last thing I would say is a lesson that took me a long time to learn. Never let your ambitions exceed your resources. Like, yeah, you might love Call of Duty, you might love Halo, you might love all these big, gigantic games and stuff like that, but you're only one person at first, you know? And you can't really build a massive game like that. So like, try to keep your game small and simple and something that you can actually finish in a short period of time, and then get that satisfaction of starting something and then finishing it and then putting out there. That will reinforce you to do it again and again and again. And before you know it, you'll find little tips and tricks on how to make more content in less time. And so you won't end up burning yourself out. So definitely, like, that's something that I made that mistake. So I still struggle with that. Yeah. I realize it's never gonna go away. But it's an important lesson to learn, and it will save you many years and many heartaches. and many headaches and stuff like that. So yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
definitely those are the three things I would say. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mike, what would you tell a young student who's thinking about getting into game development? Where would they start off, or what would you tell them?
So the first thing I would tell them is to figure out, what I said earlier, which was, do you want to make your own games or do you want to work for a game company? That's the first thing I would say, because that's going to determine your learning path. If you want to work for a company that makes really graphic intensive 3D games, you're probably going to want to learn C++ if you're programming, because I'm speaking from a programmer's perspective. But if you're not programming, I can't speak much on that other than there's resources available that are often free, and find someone who can talk about that. But for programming, I will say that you can start right now. Going to college to make games is very beneficial, regardless of whether or not you finish. I will say the most important thing of learning is that you make connections with people, is that you do a lot of work on your own, because you can be taught things, people can tell you a million things, but unless you do it yourself, you're not gonna get any better at it. So I will say, to understand that it's gonna be hard. It's never gonna stop being difficult, because games get more and more complex every day. And if you don't love it, you're gonna fall out of it really quickly. But it's never been easier to make games now. People say Unity a lot because Unity has come incredibly far. It's become super accessible to everybody, from someone who's never made games to someone who makes games every day. They have so many learning resources. It's literally just up to you to get started. It's just like trying to go to the gym. If you want to look good by the summer, you got to start working out now.
Okay.
So
Great.
that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you so much, Mike. And Kristen, you have the last word. What would you tell someone who is looking to get into the video game industry or be a game developer?
Sure. So I had a very similar point to Tony's about trying on different hats. I think that it's important to, try out each different aspect of game design. There are so many things that go into a game that, even if you decide you don't do or don't like certain aspects, it'll help you communicate with people who do work in those things. Because more likely than not, even if it's a small team, even if it's a large like AAA studio, you'll probably be working with other people. So as much of the language as you can learn with people who do these different roles, it'll help you out in the long term.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We ran out of time. Again, I could have asked a bunch more questions. Next time, maybe we'll have to make this longer. So I'm sure that the people who are watching in Zoom as well as on Facebook have learned a lot and have gained a lot from this event. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend and keep developing.
All right. Thank you, Phil. Thanks for having us.
Later.
You too. See you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck, everyone. You're gonna need it.